DreAllDay.com.
Now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves all of us to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Then we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one hardcover book that you can get at workonyourgamebook.com. One framework, one system. We have codified this entire system, so this is not just random, no motivational stuff we're throwing out here. Is way more than that. Don't pigeonhole us into that group. We do a lot more than that. And this daily masterclass and university that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is why you cannot get off the bench in life. Why you find yourself watching the game a lot more than you're actually playing in the game. Maybe you feel as if you are not getting a shot to show what you can do, or you feel like that you're being overlooked and underrated. So why is this happening, and what can you do about it? Those are the questions that we're going to answer here today. Why are you on the bench, and why can you not get in the goddamn game? Point number one. Topic once again, why you can't get off the bench in life. Number one reason you can't get off the bench is because you have no game. I mean, let's just call things exactly what they are. The reason why you're not getting off the bench is because you just can't play. All right, you're not showing your game. Nobody knows that you have it, and this is something that you need to focus on. In episode number 550, the topic was, if you cannot prove your game, you have no game. This is the proving business. This is the show and prove business. This is not the believe business. This is not the I know I can business. This is not the I think I can business. This is not the little train that could. This is the proving business. If you want other people to buy into your game, you have to prove to them that you have it. Listen, they can't go into your head. They don't know what you know. They don't know about the work that you've done. They don't know about the time that you've put in. And frankly, nobody gives a damn about the time that you put in or the work that you've done until and unless you have proven that you actually have some game. Now, once you prove you got game, now everybody wants to know, how'd you do it? How'd you do that work? How do you get better? How do you put your game out there that way? Then people want to dissect and break down how you've done it. But until you prove it, nobody gives a damn about the work that you put in. Well, why would I care about the work you put in when you haven't even proven you're good? Maybe your work has been worth less. So the number one reason you're on the bench, your game, you have no game or you haven't proven your game. And understand that if you haven't proven it, then you ain't got none. You don't have it until you can prove it. Sometimes in life, you just need to get better, and there's nothing more to it. Sometimes you just lack skill, you lack ability, and you just need to step that ability up so you can get to where you need to get to. What did we just talk about yesterday? 6 essential skills for you to get better at public speaking. Maybe you're just not a good public speaker yet, and that's why you're not getting recognition. Maybe you are a good public speaker, but nobody knows about it because you haven't proven it yet. I've been in that space where I knew I was good at public speaking. I had done hundreds of public speeches through video for years, but I had not done any on a live stage in front of a live audience. So when I started going to people and saying, hey, I can give public speeches, they were saying, well, you got to prove it. I mean, I get that you did the videos and all, sir, but that's not the proof that we need because we're not hiring you to make a video on YouTube. We're hiring you to stand in front of a live audience in person. So you got to show us proof that you can do that. So then when I started proving that, that's when I started getting opportunities. So sometimes in life, you may have the skill. Sometimes you ain't got no skill. Sometimes you just got to work on your game. Now, Work on Your Game University, we do 3 things. Develop your game, show your game, get you paid for your game. So you need to develop your game. Come join us at Work on Your Game University. Again, we have a class in there called People Skills. We got another one called Sell Yourself. We give you to work on your game system so you can work on developing that confidence that you're going to need to put yourself out there in the world. And part of the work on your game system is communication. In other words, taking what's in your head within you and getting it out to the world. So we cover that again. That's at workonyourgameuniversity.com. The link is below in the description. Sometimes you just don't have game, and sometimes you do have game, you just haven't sold your game yet. You have not communicated it to the people who need to know about it. This is the second of the 3 steps of the whole work on your game system, which is show your game. Showing your game to other people, and understand that getting the opportunity to show your game is just as much a sale as actually showing your game. All right, sometimes you got to sell yourself just to get a chance to show what you can do. Then you got to actually do the thing while you are in the chance. There's a guy named Michael Redd who was a shooting guard in the NBA. He played most of his career for the Milwaukee Bucks. And he told this story that when he came into the NBA, he was coming from Ohio State, where he had been a a very good player. He'd averaged 20-some points per game at Ohio State. And the coach of the Milwaukee Bucks at the time was a guy by the name of George Karl. And George Karl came up to Mike Redd when he was a rookie. And George Karl said to him, and the Milwaukee Bucks were a really good team at this time. They were like close to competing for a championship at this point. And George Karl came up to Mike Redd, the rookie, and said, listen, rookie, I need a player at your position who can make open three-point shots. And until you prove that you can do that, I will be ignoring you. And Mike Redd said George Karl was not lying. He said, the coach, George Karl, completely ignored me. I don't even know if he knew my name. He paid no attention to me whatsoever until I proved that I can make that open three-point shot. And then he started paying attention to me. And eventually Mike Redd became a pretty good player. He became an all-star in the NBA. He was on the Redeem team in 2008. He was the last player on the bench in 2008, but he was on the team. He got a gold medal for being on that team that year. He made himself into a very good player. But that story always stuck with me that, listen, Mike Redd had skills. He was a talented player. He was in the NBA after all. He'd been a draft pick in the NBA, so he obviously had game. The thing is, he hadn't proven his game to the person that he needed to prove it to, which was the coach. And all of you should understand, if you listen to enough of Dre Baldwin, you understand that proving your game is relative. In other words, if you played basketball in high school, for example, and you were the man in high school, and then you go to college, all right, you ain't the man no more. You ain't proved shit in college. You proved that in high school. Your high school coach knows that you're great. Well, your high school coach is not your college coach. It's a different person. They don't give a damn what you did in high school. Everybody on your team was good in high school. What did you do in college? So far, nothing? Okay, that's why you're on the bench. So now you got to prove your game all over again. This is the game. This is what you signed up for, people. This is all of life. I'm using basketball as an example, but this is all of life. If I go and give a great speech at Conference A on Monday, now I fly across the country and now I got to give a speech at Conference B on Wednesday. Nobody at Conference B gives a damn what I did at Conference A. I got to prove it all over again in Conference B. That's why I got to prepare myself all over again for the next one as if the last one didn't happen, because to the people in the audience at Conference B, it didn't happen. They weren't there. They didn't know about that, and they don't care about that. What they care about is, what are you going to do right here today? What are you doing right here? We don't care about what you did 2 days ago or what you're going to do 2 days from now. What are you doing right now? And if you're not doing anything right now, listen, nobody wants to hear about the work that you put in 3 months ago, or how hard you wanted, how hard you worked, or how bad you want it. Listen, are you proving it? This is a proving business. The business I'm referring to is life, everybody. You got to prove it. And at work, you got to prove it. You got to prove it in sports. You got to prove it in a relationship. You got to prove it in everything that you do. And until you prove it, nobody knows that you have game. You might know that you have game. That's important. You should know. All right, that's part of your confidence, knowing that you can do something. Now, the next part is you actually putting it out there into the world. What do we say every day on the show? The confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically. Not the confidence to know that you have game. Yes, knowing that you have game is a part of it. The discipline will help you know you have game. But the confidence, you got to put yourself out there. And you got to prove it while you're putting yourself out there. Putting yourself out there and failing does not prove your game. You got to put yourself out there and you got to win. All right, this is the game that I come from. This is the angle that this show comes from. I'm not saying this is the only way to do it, but if you listen to this show, this is the way that we're talking about it. Okay? So you got to prove it out here in this world. If you don't have game or you haven't proven your game, well, that's why you're sitting on the bench. You want to get off the bench, start proving your game. Don't complain about the game. Play the game. Again, we did an episode on this topic. I know I did. We said complaining is for losers in episode number 1646, episode number 1210. Don't complain. Play the game. Episode 1314. Learn the hustle. Learn how to play the game. Sometimes the hustle means doing something that you don't really want to do or that you may not 100% agree with, but it'll help you get to the things that you do agree with, then what you want to do. You want to be a martyr or do you want to win? All right, if you want to win, then sometimes you got to hustle. Sometimes that means you got to adjust to some things that you don't 100% agree with, but it'll help you get to where you want to go. So what you trying to do here? Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is why you are failing to get off the bench in life. Number 2, you have not properly shown your game. Now, we just touched on this point very strongly in the first point. I sat on the bench my 1 year of high school basketball. You know why I sat on the bench? It wasn't because I had no talent. It was because I didn't have the experience to show my ability in such a way to earn playing time. There was ability that I had. There's a story that I tell. One of the things that helped build my confidence that 1 year that I sat on the bench was that every day in practice, I was playing one-on-one with the best player on our team. This dude's named Darian Chavis. He's the best player on the team. He ended up going a D1 scholarship player. I think he finished at a D2. And he was the leading scorer on the team. He's averaging 22, 25, some points per game. I would sit on the bench and watch this dude score 30, 40 points in games. during the season. And he and I would play one-on-one a little bit before practice every single day. Now, over the course of the year, we didn't even keep score. But over the course of the year, he probably beat me. He definitely beat me, scored more points than me. But every now and then, I would make a move on him and score. Every now and then, he would try to do something on me, and I would stop him. And that gave me confidence, even though I'm sitting on the bench. Because I'm like, all right, I'm holding my own every now and then against the best player on the team. This showed me that I had game. I knew I had talent. I knew there was something within me, but it just wasn't coming out yet because I didn't have the confidence yet. I didn't have the ability to perform my game. I could perform it when I was playing with him. There was no pressure. But put me in a game 5-on-5 against another team, I couldn't do it. It wasn't even performance anxiety. I just didn't have the experience to put my game out there to the world. I needed time to kind of develop and grow. And that year was just part of my development time. But I sat on the bench that year. I never complained. I never said the coach is hating on me. I never said that the coach is holding me back. I never said I'm not getting my opportunity because none of those things were true. What was true was I just had not proven my game yet. And the guys who were playing while I was sitting on the bench, they had proven their game. They didn't even have as much talent as me. None of the players who were on that team went further than me in basketball. That's just a fact. So who was the better player on that team? In the long run, it was me, but that year, it was not me. I was one of the worst players on the team that year because my performance in the game was terrible. My performance in practice, I wasn't doing anything. So I deserved to be where I was at that time. And then later on, as I got better and started showing my game more, I deserved to be where I was then. This is just the way that it works, okay? I sat on the bench because I did not have the experience to show off my game in such a way to earn playing time. Because of that, I hadn't properly shown my game to the one decision maker who mattered, who was the coach of the basketball team. His name was Mr. Brown. And since I hadn't proven myself to Coach Brown, I sat on the bench. The second step in the work on your game system, there's only 3 parts to it. Develop your game, show your game, and get the ROI for your game. The second step is showing your game. Understand that having game is one thing. They have to know you have it. Let me say that sentence again with the proper emphasis on the right word. They have to know you have it. Now you know you have it. Again, I just touched on this in point number 1, but I'm going to say it again. They have to know you have it. Who is they? The people who make the decisions as to whether or not you get in the game or not. Who are those people? You should know. If you're serious about your game, you should know who the people are that you need to impress. You don't need to impress everybody. You don't need to impress people on Twitter or Instagram commentators. You need to impress the people who make the decision as to who gets the check, who gets the job, who's on the team, and who ain't. Those are people that really matter. So who are you playing? Who are you playing for? You playing to the spectators or you playing to the decision makers? Again, usually not the same people. Show your game, not just have it, but they got to know you have it. This is based on the show that you put on, everybody. This is about putting on the show. Yes, this is about putting on the show. Episode number 1547. The topic is you are in show business. If you want to show your game, then start treating your show like a business. In other words, make it your business that people see your show. See how all this fits together? And again, the second step of the work on your game process is showing your game. This is the show business. Is anybody unclear about what business we're in? Anybody unclear? Episode number 1053, the show improve business of life. You should refer yourself to that episode. Episode number 1547, I just told you about being in show business. Episode number 1492, show up. The power of being in the room. All right, that's what I was using. When I was sitting on the bench in high school, I still came to practice every day. I didn't bitch, I didn't complain, I didn't quit. I wasn't mad at the coach. I just said, hey, best player on the team, play me one-on-one. Of course, he took it up. Easy win for him. And over the course of the year, he won. But it helped me at the same time. So thank you, Darian Shavers. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is why you can't get off the bench in life. You're playing the wrong game. Maybe you're not getting in the game because the game you're playing is one that you don't belong in. Before I started playing basketball, I was playing baseball for years. And I sucked at baseball. When I finally stopped playing baseball, all of a sudden I started getting much more results much faster when I started playing basketball. Now, it took time to get results in basketball, but I was seeing progress. Even when I wasn't making the team in high school, I could feel myself getting better. That's why I kept playing, because I could see that I was improving. Even though there were times that things were not working, I still felt excited about continuing to work on it because I knew I could eventually beat whatever I was up against, like the other players or the teams that I wasn't making. I could feel that I was making progress. That's why I kept going. I knew I was in the right game. When I was playing baseball and I was failing, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel like, all right, let me just work on my game a little bit more. Next time I'll get there. No, I'm going to strike out again next game, just like I did last game. I was in the wrong game. But when I got in the right game, things started working. I told you all maybe a month ago on the show that when I initially was getting out of basketball and into the thought leadership world, my first idea was that I was going to build my business around teaching marketing because I had made my name through marketing myself through content. And I still make my name through marketing myself through content, which is something that I could do. But when I really started to learn what the marketing world was about, I realized it was very techie. It was about algorithms and how this platform is changing how they do things and how you got to stay up to date on how this platform, the best practices for this stuff and all that. And I was like, I'm not into this shit. I don't want to do that. So what did I do? I changed to something that I was into, which is the mental game. And look how many episodes we got here. This I can talk about. Here we are. Sometimes in life, you're just playing the wrong game. You got the skills, but you're playing the wrong game. And you saw the movie Blow. It's about George Jung, who is credited, at least according to that movie, with being the person who introduced powder cocaine to the United States. He was arrested because he got caught selling marijuana, crossing state lines selling marijuana. And while he was in prison, his cellmate said, man, you got arrested for selling marijuana. And he was selling a lot of marijuana. It's like 600 pounds of marijuana, which was a lot to people who sold weed at the time. And this is back when weed was illegal everywhere. And George's cellmate, when he found out why George was in jail, he said, man, all right, you obviously have ambition. You're trying to sell these large quantities of drugs. Well, the reason why you got caught and you're in prison right now is because you had the wrong dream. You're trying to sell weed. Why don't you just start selling cocaine? Cocaine's worth a lot more money. And George said, you know what, you're right. He switched his game to selling cocaine. He ended up in jail again anyway. But in between the time that he went from marijuana to cocaine, he lived a hell of a life. And that was the basis of the whole story. The movie Blow with, I believe it was Johnny Depp, who was the star of that movie. And the whole point is, I'm not telling you to be a drug dealer and switch from marijuana to cocaine. What I'm telling you is, when he switched his game, everything started taking off. His skills did not change. Only thing he changed was where he was applying the skills. Sometimes in life, you have the skill, but you're applying it in the wrong place or in a place that is not ideal for you maximizing your potential. Sometimes just the wrong game. Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, they're both members of groups. Destiny's Child was Beyonce's group. Justin Timberlake was in NSYNC. And they were doing well. I mean, Destiny's Child was a popular, successful group. NSYNC was a popular, successful group. But when Beyonce and Justin Timberlake went solo, I think we can all agree, things took off for them even more than they were taking off before they went solo. Can we agree with that? I know a lot of basketball coaches. I know a lot of trainers who are doing a lot better at being a basketball coach or a basketball trainer than they were at being basketball players. And it's not necessarily they shouldn't have been playing basketball, but they need to find that right gig. They need to find the right thing that they needed to do. And sometimes in life, you got to try different things before you find a thing that works. Listen, I told you, I played baseball. It wasn't working. I was trying to be a marketing expert. That shit wasn't working. But when I found the right game, things started working. So what you need to do, if you think you might be in the wrong game right now, is try a different game. Take the same skills, apply it to a different game. If that doesn't work, do it again. If that doesn't work, do it again. If that doesn't work, do it again until you find a game that your skills apply to, assuming that you have skills. It's kind of like a baby trying to learn to walk. How many times do you let the baby try before you make the baby shut it down and give it up? Of course, you won't let the baby keep trying. Magic formula. Keep trying until you find the thing that fits perfectly for the skills that you have. Sometimes you just got to keep trying until you find the right game. And that's why you're on the bench. Point number 4. Today's topic, once again, is why you are on the bench right now. You can't get off of it. You are on the wrong team. Maybe you have game. Maybe you have shown your game. Maybe you are in the right game, but you're just on the wrong team. You're in the wrong situation to show off what you're doing. A change of scenery can do a lot for a person. Has anyone here ever had a change of scenery that changed everything for you? If anyone is or has been or knows anyone who's been in a 12-step program, one of the things that they tell you, at least from what I've heard, is that you shouldn't go to places that you went before. Back when you had that addiction, if you were addicted to gambling, you probably shouldn't go into the casino anymore. If you are trying to kick the cigarette habit, you probably shouldn't go outside for the 15-minute smoke break because you ain't smoking no more. If you used to always drink when you went to the bar on Fridays, you should stop going to the bar on Fridays. Whatever it was you were doing that was causing you to get into the thing that led to the addiction, don't do that anymore. Don't go there anymore. Don't hang with them anymore. Don't allow those same habits to creep in on you anymore. What are you doing? You're just changing the scenery. You're changing what you're looking at. You're changing the way things are going. Any of you ever rearranged the furniture in your house? When you rearrange the furniture, all of a sudden the energy changes. You just feel different. You're looking at different things all day. It's just a different approach. And it can change everything just by moving some things around. Sometimes in life, you just got to move around and get on a different team. All of a sudden, things start popping off. NBA player James Harden. As of this recording, he is a player for the Houston Rockets. Who knows where he'll be by the time you hear this? Maybe he'll have been traded. But James Harden, initially, when he came into the NBA, he's playing for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He was known as a pretty good player. He was an up-and-coming guy. He was a young guy who people said this guy has the potential to be a star moving forward. They just got to keep grooming him. He's going to keep getting better. And James Harden was, again, he was already seen as a very good player. But when he got traded to play for the Houston Rockets, all of a sudden, James Harden became a superstar. He went from very good to superstar. What happened? Changed the scenery. Now, could he have bloomed like that in Oklahoma City? I don't know. Not quite so sure, because there were other players on that team. One of them named Kevin Durant, another one named Russell Westbrook, who are pretty damn good as well, and they were kind of ahead of him in the pecking order on that team. And James wouldn't have got a chance to do the things that he did, maybe, in Houston. He wouldn't have got a chance to do all that in Oklahoma City because he wouldn't have been able to dominate the situation with Russell and or Kevin Durant on his team. In Houston, neither one of those guys was in the way. So just a change of scenery was what changed everything for James. Not like he all of a sudden got talent. The talent was already there. He just didn't have a chance to show it all until he went somewhere else. Sometimes in life, you're just in the wrong place. You're doing all the right things and you're the right person. You're just in the wrong place. Change your scenery and all of a sudden you're in the game immediately. You're thrust into the spotlight and you start doing your thing. Now, I remember when James Harden got traded to the Houston Rockets. It was right before the NBA season began. His first game with the Rockets, he went out and scored 37 points. The first game. And I'm like, okay, James Harden's pretty damn good. All right, maybe Oklahoma City should have kept him and tried to figure out how to make it work. Like, this guy can go. The first game, he showed that from day one because that ability was already there. He didn't just get that ability on the plane. That's a short plane ride from Oklahoma City to Houston anyway. All that being said, let's recap today's class, which is why you can't get off the bench in life. So right now, if you feel like you're not getting your shot to show what you can do, you feel like you're being overlooked and underrated, maybe one of these 4 reasons is causing it. Number 1, you have no game. You just need to get better, and there's nothing more to it. Number 2, you have not properly shown your game. You might be sitting on the bench because you haven't shown your game to the decision makers who would allow you to get off the bench. Episode number 1547, remember, you are in show business. If you have not put on a show, that's why you are not getting business. Number 3, you are playing the wrong game. Sometimes you are playing baseball when you should be playing basketball, playing basketball when you should be playing baseball. Sometimes you're a part of a group when you need to go solo. Sometimes you're going solo when you should be part of a group. Sometimes in life, you are just playing a game that is not fit for where you need to be. And number 4, sometimes you're playing the right game, right skills, right everything. You put on the show, but you're on the wrong team. Therefore, you're just not getting your chance. James Harden was averaging 15, 18 points a game when he was on one team. Put him on another team, he's averaging damn near 40. Why? Because of a change of scenery. His skills did not change. I mean, he did get better, but he already had that ability within him. It's just he wasn't going to get a chance to show it where he was. When he went to a different place, all of a sudden the gloves came off and he started doing his thing. Sometimes in life, you just need to change your scenery. If you are ready to develop your game, to make sure that you have the game to get off the bench, to show your game, meaning earning your opportunity and then putting on a show because you are in show business so that you can get the return on investment from your game, so that you are actually getting the things that you want based on the skills that you develop, and you want some accountability in place to do that, and you want to join a community of like-minded individuals who are serious about the same things that I just laid out, and you want to get on live events with me where I'm going to be giving you deep dives and workshops on topics when it comes to developing, showing, and getting paid for your game, that you need to join us at Work on Your Game University at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.